The TrekWorks YouTube channel is sponsored by Tenant Controls, makers of lighting kits, soundboards, and more. Tenant Controls brings your models to life. And by XD Model Works, suppliers of scale model lighting products, detail parts, and complete model kits. Visit xdamodelworks.com today. Hello again, everybody. Boyd here with you, and welcome to the grand finale of our 1/144 scale Moebius Discovery XD-1. This is the iconic ship from the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey. I started working on this kit, I guess, last spring, and then kind of put it off to the side for a little while, and then we finally got around to finishing it up, so we thought we'd make a video today and show you the grand finale, everybody. So here it is. You can see it's a huge model. It takes up almost my entire workbench there. It's a really difficult model to work with because of its length, and it's it's a little fragile being so long and thin like that. It's got lots of small little detail parts on it, so you just have to take your time and work on it in sections, and then get everything kind of assembled on the forward section all the way up to the antenna there in the middle, and then build the rear section out, and then attach the two halves together right at the very end. And that's how it worked out for me, and do all my painting and everything after that. But you can see it sitting on these really cool, clear acrylic display stands that are much improved over what the kit comes with. Those I found to be practically worthless. I mean, they do hold the model up and everything, but they're really easily tipped over, and they don't really line up that well and everything. So I want to thank Jeff Pelizzato of JP Model Works for sending these out to us. He sent us two sets of these. We've got this set here, which is sort of for displaying the model on a desk or something like that, and then another set which is very similar to these, but they're curved a little different, for mounting the model on the wall, which is what I wound up using for my permanent display. We'll have a little shot of that here at the end for you, of the model up on the wall in the display room. But that worked out really great because as much room as this takes up, it's mounting it on the wall was exactly perfect. And it's pretty cool because being clear like that, it gives the illusion that the model's almost kind of hanging in free space by itself. So that worked out really great. Jeff has his website, jpmodelworks.com. there. You can look at the other stuff he has available. He also sent me a little sample of this little acrylic sort of paint holder that's really handy for not tipping over your paints and stuff like that. He's got that and some other stuff there. So again, thanks for sending that out to us, Jeff. We really appreciate it, and hope you guys will check him out. But we'll have a look at the model here now, give you a little up-close shot of it. Did a lot of work on the painting of this. I was able to reference some studio pictures of the original filming model. Unfortunately, the model was destroyed. They destroyed the model on Stanley Kubrick's orders. He didn't want these models used on any other films or anything after they were done, so the original filming model was destroyed, but there were some pictures taken of it during construction and during filming. And what we all thought was just a plain white ship turns out to be have quite a bit more detail than what we originally thought. When you watch the film, you can see that there's these multicolored panels all over the sphere here, and we did a lot of work to try to replicate those. Along the spine here, there's some really light weathering on the, to bring out the details of these individual cargo containers or whatever they were, and up around the back and everything, and a little bit of shading around the antenna and all that. So I tried to copy all that. The ship appears actually like a bright white in the film, but it's actually more of a dove gray with some varying shades of gray on the around the different areas of the ship. It's the fact that they use really super bright overhead lights in the studio to do the shooting, to give it the effect that it was in deep space, and it was like raw sunlight that was hitting the model and creating shadows and things like that. It looked really fantastic on the film, but the studio model pictures really surprised me when I saw them, how much more detail there was there. We've got the little space pod there coming out, being launched. That's supposed to be Dave leaving, going out looking for, you know, trying to recover the body of Frank Poole that Hal took care of. And that's the scene I decided to depict here. So we have one pod that's already missing on the inside. The ship originally came with 3. We have one that was lost because that's the one Frank was in. This is the second one that Dave is leaving in. And of course that one gets lost too, because when he tries to come back, we get the famous scene, you know, open the pod bay doors, Hal. And Hal refuses to do that, and Dave has to abandon the pod and get in through the airlock. So there's one pod left still inside at the end. I've got one of the pods in the little garage there off to the side, and you'll see that when we turn the lights on here. I kind of went back and forth on whether or not to you know, build this out with the pod extended like that, because unfortunately I did a ton of work on the bottom of this in the garage area there, putting in all the photo etch and all the painting and detail to, you know, bring that whole area to life. And with the pod there, it kind of blocks a lot of that view. You can still see it in the background, but it was kind of a decision I had to make, but I'm kind of glad I did in the end. But we used the photo etch set from Paragraphics for all the interior details. We've got the garage in the bottom, and then we've got the flight deck up above, which you'll see when we power it up. Also here along the side, we have the recessed airlock door there like it's supposed to be. When you get the model out of the box, it's molded right on the surface, and if you look at the ship on the film, that door is supposed to be recessed in there like that. So you glue the part on the inside, you have to cut that out. Then you got the little detail of the door lock controls around it that are also photo etched, so I think that improved the look of that quite a bit. And then back here at the rear, we use the photo etch grills for the engines. We do have a little lighting effect going on there that my friend Ralph at Tenant Controls did for us. We'll show you that here. But here's a look at the control board and how I set everything up on the inside. If you guys remember in the early part of the video series here, I think it was part 1 or part 2, I talked about how I modified this rear section here to accommodate all the electronics and the battery. And I'm really happy with how it worked out. Everything fit in here just, you know, snug as a bug. It looks like it was kind of meant to be in there. So I've got my 9-volt battery. I've got our remote control board from Tenant Controls there. And I put a little on and off switch here. I didn't want to put that anywhere. I tried to find a place on the outside of the model to put that, but you could just see it wherever it was, so I decided to put it in here. I made a little red mark that tell me when it's, you know, turned off or turned on. Now Ralph told me that this board, it draws a minuscule amount of power no matter what, so even if you don't have the lights turned on or anything, over time it will draw the battery down. So, you know, we're talking many months, but you could come back 6 months later and try to turn this on and find out that, you know, it doesn't work because the battery's dead. So he recommended putting in this little switch in between the battery and the board. That way when I'm done using it, I just shut that off, and no worries about the battery going dead. When I want to use it again, just turn it back on and we can operate everything with our remote. We've got our little remote key fob here, and we've got actually 4 outputs that can be used on this, but we're only using 2. We've got the A button, which lights up the engines, and the B button, which lights up the forward area. So I'm going to go ahead and put the cover on back now. Hopefully I can do this with one hand. We'll put the cover back on and we'll show you how this looks lit up. This just snaps right back in place here once I get it lined up. There we go. And you can see that fits really good too. Just that little modification we did. We had to grind away some of the tabs and everything in there, but it just snaps right back in place. We don't have any big gaps or anything, so that worked out really good. So we're going to slide up here to the front and we'll turn on our lights for the forward section here. And you can see we get the flight deck area all lit up there in the upper windows, and then the garage area all lights up. I had to use quite a few SMDs in the bottom there because that lower area is supposed to look like a laboratory almost. It's like really bright, clean, you know, white lighting that goes on in there. So we had to put 3 strips of LED tape in there to get that lit up properly. And you can see I've got some tiny little lights on the pod there, which are done with fiber optics. There's one single SMD mounted in the center of it, and that's picking up the light, you know, to the fiber optics there. Like I said, unfortunately, now a lot of that interior detail is blocked. You can see it's all there though. It still looks pretty cool, and it does look just like it did in the shot from the film. And you can see up here in the flight deck we've got the all that crew cabin area up there all detailed out. I decided not to put any glass in it because at that scale the glass glares and everything, and you can't see in there really clear. And a lot of times on filming miniatures they would do that anyway, so you wouldn't see the glass. Or you wouldn't see it reflect, or it wouldn't get blurry or anything. And it's such a small little slit there, and it's got kind of that overhang that it won't get a lot of dust in it or anything like that, so I'm pretty glad I did that. But we'll just kind of work our way back now and check out the engines. This is our A button here, which operates those. We'll go ahead and push that, and we get sort of a, you know, a ramping up there, and then they just kind of cruise or flicker for a little bit. You can let that run as long as you want. Hit it again, and they kind of flare and then power down. So, as I said, in the original film, 2001, they never showed the engines operating. In 2010, they did have a little scene at the end there where they do operate the engines. So I would have been happy without any, but that was just nice of Ralph to actually throw that in and make that work for me. So I'm really happy with that. And it was mainly the forward lighting that I wanted to do. But so again, it turned out really good. I'm really happy with it. Just probably one of the most tedious models I've ever worked on, as far as have to be careful and just handling it and everything. It's very flimsy in the middle, even though it has a solid, you know, I have a 2-piece tube in here, and what I did is I took some brass tubing and I made an overlap like right in here that's just slightly bigger that connects the two together. But even with that, if you pick the model up, it'll definitely sag on both ends. And it feels like really scary handling the model that way. So basically when you're finished with this model, you're not going to be moving it around much or touching it very much because it's just so delicate. You could eliminate that if you used a solid rod all the way through, but then you have the issue if you want to light it of bringing your wires up through there. I mean, you could do a lot of work and trench these little pieces out here and snake some wire on the outside and hide it, but it would be a lot of work. Either that or you'd have to put like a separate power source up here to power up the dome or whatever, you know, the sphere area, and then a separate one if you want to do the engines in the back. But since it's going to be on permanent display up on my wall in there, and I'm not going to be moving it very much, it's all going to work out just fine. So not really a big deal. Just thought I'd share that with you guys as far as the experience goes on working on this. But so there it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Had a blast building this one. Sorry it took so long. Just took a little break over the summer, like I said, and then got working on some other stuff. I'm going back now and finishing up a lot of projects that I've started and I need to finish. A couple other models. I'm going to be doing that here on the channel in the next few weeks. Going to be really busy over the winter building a lot of kits. Going to be putting out a lot of videos for you guys. Appreciate all the well wishes while we were away for a little while, and just really happy to be back on the bench and working. So, okay, guys, we're going to head on into the model room from here, and we'll show you one last shot and close everything up with the modeled on display, mounted on the wall. Be right back. Okay, so here we are in the model room, and I have the model placed back on the wall mounts that I mentioned here, and here's how it looks. You can see these are really cool because they just are transparent, and it just gives the illusion that the model's almost kind of floating in space there all by itself. And thank goodness for those, because you can see I'm getting pretty well packed in here and didn't have a option for putting it down on any of my surfaces here, so putting it up on the wall is perfect. Apologize for the lighting being a little bit low underneath of the shelf like that, but that'll actually help keep the dust off of it too. But there she is with the forward part all lit up and everything. So, and really happy with this one. So again, thanks for checking it out, everybody. Thanks for all the subscribers to the channel. Got some really cool projects coming up here. I'm going to stay busy over the whole winter doing builds, and we'll show you what the next build is here coming up real soon. So take care, everybody out there. We'll see you next time, and happy modeling, everyone.